I decided to apply for lead teacher certification after completing the AITSL self-assessment tool. I realised that I was having a strong impact on student learning and I wanted to impact on my school culture and my colleagues. The advice that I'd give a teaching colleague probably comes from hindsight. It does take a fair bit of time to be able to pull it together and map it out. So I started my mapping out of my process with a really big sort of concept map around what I was already doing, and then put that forward as simply a box with slings in it around each of the projects or each of the things that I was focused on. That was done before I started to use anything digitally. So I started with a concept map first, went to a paper base, and before I moved it over to something digital. I would also make a strong suggestion to build a support network around yourself. So whether that be another highly accomplished or lead teacher person if you know them, or your principal or someone in your professional network that can support you through this, and just be sometimes that stranger but also that support person that has a handle on the Australian professional standards and is able to guide you through how you're perceiving your evidence matches them, or how you're perceiving you can achieve this. I am particularly passionate about evidence-informed practice, and I would strongly urge anyone who is considering applying for certification to start here and use these implementation cycles that are available and work through those to determine whether this is an option for you going forward. Certification benefits my practice and my colleagues' practice as it has a really strong culture of learning. And what I have experienced is that when you can gather together some collective efficacy, it builds teachers and my colleagues' staff ability to be able to implement evidence-based instructional strategies and drive improvement for whole school. Some examples of evidence that I've gathered in my portfolio that would demonstrate some impact on my colleagues is around learning programs, teaching and learning programs, in particular in literacy, including teaching writing and reading. And this has really developed their professional knowledge in this space in literacy, and I think as a result the school and the students' results have been outstanding. Something I've learned about myself through the certification process is that teaching is all about professional growth. And to be able to grow professionally, you need to seek and receive feedback. I have exercised caution in that, so that I'm not over-seeking feedback, but also am realistic around what I can achieve as a result of receiving feedback. I found engaging in this process really developed me professionally and personally. Stopping often and writing a narrative around how things are going, how you feel you are impacting your colleagues, and even the responses from students is a very, very important part of this process. The challenges that I faced, I've probably already mentioned, was around the writing of annotations. It is actually a summary, so summarising and really picking out the important parts that you would like an assessor to know about that evidence piece was a little challenging for me. In addition, the mapping out of my portfolio against the professional standards really took on a project management approach. So having it planned out like you would a project, and I think that would help be successful in the end in putting it all together. For me, the most rewarding part of the certification process is mapping out projects. It really is, again, reflective because it actually steps out exactly what you have achieved for your students, your colleagues, and for you. I also am an advocate for pedagogy and evidence-informed pedagogy. It actually gave me a really great opportunity to be able to implement evidence-informed pedagogy within the school that is going to have a really positive impact on student outcomes. My experience of certification has been very rewarding. I think I really learnt how to stop saying we and say I, and that's really a challenge because a lot of what you do in a school is a we approach. You're doing it with a team, you're collaboratively working together. The certification process really makes you think about the I in that. What did you do? What have you made? What have you done? What have you created? And again, referring back to that reflective practice, it's really a rewarding experience. The most unexpected part of the certification process for me was my pathway wasn't very smooth and it was a little bit bumpy. So I actually received certification after my second attempt, and that what I learnt from the first time I applied was that I was writing what they would say War and Peace. Okay, so it was too explicit and not really focused on summarising my annotations so well. The second time I realised that my evidence pieces were very, very honest and thorough, which is exactly what we need to do in a portfolio. However, I feel that we don't need to be as thorough if your annotation, your evidence can pass what we call the stranger test, then that is actually all we need to include. So don't overthink it, and remember you can always put context in if you get to the next stage 1 and 2, around the context of your evidence pieces. I think certification is really important for the teaching profession because it really raises the status of teachers within their community. I feel that teachers we're out there, we are doing great stuff, and we are a profession, and this really raises the bar and allows teachers to be able to stay connected to the classroom. The career pathway when you become certified means that you can stay within a classroom and have a huge impact on learning, rather than maybe if you're not someone that wants to go towards an assistant principal or a principal role.